What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with DFS, bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over Week 12's Thanksgiving 3-game slate. This is both on DraftKings and Fanduel. I thought I'd knock out both at once for you guys and just go over the prices on both and the players to target tonight, especially in cash. Everyone's a play in tournament, but in cash, these are the guys you're going to want to focus on. So at quarterback, Josh Allen at 8,000 against Detroit, who's missing their best cornerback. They're missing quite a bit of pieces on offense too, but playing one of the overall worst defenses in the league. They have played better, but now they're going to face one of the most dominant teams in the league this year. The Bills just put up points. Hopefully their defense can eventually get healthy and be a top 5 defense again. But Josh Allen at 8,000 here is probably the safer play today. Dak Prescott is my next play. You can look on FanDuel. You get Allen at almost 10,000, Dak at 8. So 1,500 on FanDuel, 1,800 on DraftKings. Dak, 6,200 against the Giants. Now I know what people are going to say about the Giants defense, but they're missing a lot of pieces, especially in the secondary. And it's not to mention how good Dallas's run game has been lately, especially with Tony Pollard there as well. You look at Dak's numbers, he's put up 20 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. They've scored 28, 40, and 49 the last 3 weeks. So Dak Prescott, to me, with a banged up Giants team, not just defensively, but offensively too, is another play that I'm definitely targeting. Other than that, you have Daniel Jones against Dallas. I think it's too risky, though. His rushing upside is good. And I mean, you can look at the game they played against Dallas, 14. It's not huge in my book, especially with how good Dallas's offense should be tonight in that game. Kirk Cousins against New England is possibly another play for me. At 2.2 points last week. But playing against a team like New England, who just went through a rough game against the Jets, but it showed how strong their defense was. Running backs, Kirk there. Running backs on both sides that I'm targeting. Saquon is playable, but I don't think I'm going to get to him. In all honesty, you're either paying up for Allen or Dak for the most part. And if you want to play these wide receivers, Jefferson, Diggs, Lamb, Brown, it's going to be really hard to pay up for a running back, especially with the quarterback. You're either paying up for a running back or a wide receiver. It's pretty hard to do both. So Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, 66, 6,400 are plays for me today. Jamal Williams, even though Buffalo is a stronger team, They haven't been as good. They're missing pieces. So Jamal Williams, 5,900 is playable. Zeke is definitely playable to me too as well, especially if you can't get to Tony Pollard. Dallas has a very good run advantage today, especially if you look on PFF. It doesn't look the greatest, but with the injuries and stuff like that, Zeke is still getting volume. Hasn't gotten it in the pass game, which is where in years previous he excelled at. So Zeke is still putting up fantasy points. If you can't get to Tony Pollard, I'd recommend getting to Zeke. One, if not both of these running backs should have a pretty good game tonight. And you can look at the difference on FanDuel, though, is crazy. Tony Pollard on FanDuel is 8,500 compared to Zeke's 7,000, which is crazy. That's a huge drop-off in price. And then Devin Singletary, I think, is my favorite kind of price range guy to play tonight. 5,700 against Detroit. Detroit's run game has been terrible. And yet again, I'll mention it again, they're missing pieces. Since Zach Moss has been traded, not that Zach Moss was stealing any volume, but it looks like Devin Singletary has been their guy they want to involve in the run game the majority. James Cook still getting some reps in, as we could see here. Still getting some volume, 11 carries last week against Cleveland, 5-4-5. And then you even look at Hines. Hines really hasn't gotten much since arriving in Buffalo. So Devin Single on DraftKings and Fanduel is a great play for me. And then last, DeAndre Swift is there. I just wish that he was healthy or we knew what his health concern was. Damian Harris, so 5,500 on DraftKings is another play for me. I like Ramondre, but it's the same thing as Zeke to Tony Pollard. If you can't really afford Pollard, Zeke's there. If you can't afford Stevenson, Damian Harris is there. And you remember Damian Harris is huge in the goal line. Last week against the Jets, gets 11.3 points in his game back, and you get a price discount of where he was priced last week. Same thing on FanDuel. More expensive than DeAndre Swift, so DeAndre Swift becomes more of a value play to me on FanDuel, but I think both are playable. And then we go to wide receiver. Justin Jefferson, 8,200. I don't love the matchup. Is it a game where they can bounce back and he can have a good game? Not necessarily, but if New England, for whatever reason, is able to score points this week, Justin Jefferson will have to be the guy on Minnesota's side to put up some yards and whatnot. In all honesty, though, I'm going Stephon Diggs. I'm on FanDuel. It's a lot different. Diggs is a little more expensive than Justin Jefferson. On DraftKings, I'm paying the $200 less for Stephon Diggs, who has a great matchup against Detroit here. I mean, they're basically almost a home team. They played in Detroit. I don't know if they left. I doubt it. So they've been in Detroit as far as I know. At 8,000 with said Okudah being out for Detroit, their overall best corner in my opinion, just makes the Diggs matchup even that much better. CeeDee Lamb, like I said, Giants are missing two of their corners tonight. CeeDee Lamb is clearly Dak's favorite wide receiver. See, last week they scored 40 points, but CeeDee Lamb only has 5 targets, 5 receptions, 45 yards. That's what happens when the run game is as good as it was. I do believe CeeDee Lamb has a good game today. Week 3 with Cooper Rush as his quarterback, 8 for 87 and a touchdown. I expect good things out of CeeDee Lamb today. On FanDuel, 7,900. It's kind of where you want that price on FanDuel as well. Amon-Ra against Buffalo, still a good matchup in my opinion. Continue to say injuries is the big thing on this slate. Amon-Ra at 6,600. If Buffalo puts up points and Detroit has to throw the ball, which I imagine they will, I can't really see Detroit's defense slowing down Buffalo's offense. Amon-Ra is a good counterpiece. So if you're stacking Josh Allen, you're stacking Stephon Diggs with that, you're stacking Knox in that, you want to have Amon-Ra as a run back. I think it's a good run back. You just find a way to afford him. Gabe Davis, same thing as some of the running back. If you can't afford Stephon Diggs, you go to Gabe Davis. I mean, it's not like he isn't getting volume at all. 5 or more targets in his last 5 games played. In a very good matchup for overall all Buffalo wide receivers. Same thing, 7,200. And then this is where it gets very interesting. If you go and look at Jacoby Myers' price, 5,100 on DraftKings, so pretty good value. On FanDuel is 6,700. That's kind of getting to the mid to higher price that you're paying. And Jacoby Myers for me is definitely a play against Minnesota. I don't think he sees Patrick Peterson much at all today, and that is Minnesota's only good cornerback there. His targets the last 3 weeks, 6, 6, 13. He's played the Jets twice in that, and the Colts in one of those games. This is a game to me in week 7 against the Bears with Zappy and Mac Jones, and this is his better matchup he's had in quite some time. I'd say since Cleveland, this is probably his better matchup. And at 5,100, I really like that price point. On FanDuel, he is up there. It's going to be harder to get him, but I still feel like you can. And then Darius Slayton against Dallas. Obviously, all the unfortunate injuries yet again for the Giants receiver core. If you remember last year, They couldn't even afford to get people because they were so injured and had so much money tied up. But Darius Slayton, over the last 4 games he's played, 11.6 is his floor. Granted, Dallas is a very, very rough matchup. But he is one of those pieces there. Going down to some of the more value plays, some of the guys that are more unsafe but have upside. Michael Gallup against the Giants. Isaiah McKenzie against Detroit. DJ Chark for his price, $3,800 against Buffalo. Other than that, there's not really much that I'm looking at that I'm interested in down there. On Fanduel, Isaiah McKenzie at $5,200, DJ Chark at $5,000, so you get some discounts there. And then we go to tight end, which to me pretty much stands out of who I want to play tonight. Dawson Knox. Dalton Schultz is definitely a play. TJ Hawkinson is even a play. But for the price of paying up for a running back or wide receiver, you need a discount player somewhere. Dawson Knox is that, in my opinion. He's got one of the better matchups. His price point is exactly where you want it to be. You kind of look at what he's gotten, and he starts to get that volume up since playing the Jets. 4 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. Has not scored a touchdown since week 8. But this is definitely a game where he can get that touchdown potential. FanDuel, same thing with the price point, $5,500. A discount from your average player cost. That's what you always want to consider when putting people into the lineup, is affording that. And then last but not least, defenses. For me, it's the Cowboys or the Bills. Obviously, the Cowboys are very expensive. Not as much on DraftKings. Like, it's a $300 difference between the Cowboys and Bills, so I feel like you could go either one. On FanDuel, it's a $600, and still you're paying up for a defense, in my opinion, this week. You can't really go Detroit. They just allow too much points. You can't go Giants because they're playing one of the hotter offenses in the league. The only defense I could consider for a discount would be Minnesota against New England, of just how poor New England's pass game has been, but just how good New England's run game is what worries me. And on DraftKings, the Patriots defense paying $100 cheaper than the Vikings. Some of the fantasy point numbers they've been able to put up with touchdowns, don't get me wrong, I know it's because of touchdowns, is crazy this year. And with Kirk as the quarterback, you never know what happens. So, hope you guys did enjoy this. I hope you guys have a very good Thanksgiving. I will have a video going over the main slate on Sunday. So if you guys are looking forward to that, it will be on Sunday morning. If you guys are interested in joining us, the link for our Discord will be down in the description below. And I will see you guys in the next one.